Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 4 of What's New in SwaggerHub Explore. So we're going to jump straight into it today. We're going to start demoing the new features that have been just added to the product. So the first one is some enhanced filtering capabilities for transactions. So you can now filter on the query parameters of older calls that you might have made. And we also have added the ability to execute an API directly from the transaction details itself. So let's get right into it. So looking at Explore here, I'm going to drill into my history and I'm going to start looking for an API for the payees API, and I'm going to start filtering for where the country of registration has been populated as a query parameter. So I see all of these coming back. So I'm going to now drill into the details of a particular transaction, open the details, and we can see that we have the ability to now click on this button in the top right, so the little explore icon, to resend and or edit the request in the execution tab of Explore. So clicking on that, it opens it up as a new tab with everything pre-populated, and I can send a request to the API. And here we can see I'm getting a 400 back because I am missing a request parameter. I see all of the details about it. So it's just telling me in this instance that name is conditionally mandatory if I provide a jurisdiction identifier. So this is just some of the business rules around this API. But again, the really useful thing here is I can go from maybe a failed execution that's in my transaction details. I can recreate that very, very quickly, and then I can work on remediating and fixing the request to the API to make sure that everything works as good as possible. So that's pretty much an overview of the features. And Temil, what I'm also interested in, and what I think our audience are interested in, is why do we prioritize building some of these new capabilities?
Yeah, great question, Frank. So it's the goal of Explore to really accelerate your development process, right? And we all know that when consuming or building or testing APIs, a lot of the time, people get stuck on how do I even get started interacting with the APIs? What parameters does it accept? You may go into the documentation and figure those things out, and then go back into implementation. By the time you're there, you forget, right? So these two features really help you accelerate when you're stuck within those processes. If you're a consumer and you consumed or you used an API maybe last week and it may need some updates, or you may need to reuse it somewhere else, you can go to history and really quickly find it via the filtering capabilities. And now that we've updated the query parameters, you can do that via query as well. And you could really quickly figure out that API that you sent, look at the data and metadata, and potentially resend requests with different parameters that you may need at the moment. From a producer's perspective, right? If an API gets updated, you may interacted with it last week, you can again do the same process. Go into history, filter, find that specific API, look at the data and the metadata that was sent successfully at that moment, and figure out what status code you got, what data you got back. And if you need to retest and revalidate those, you can do it very quickly by rerunning and Explore.
Yeah,
so again,
great.
Our goal is
one of the things that I think is really useful, and it's kind of the way I use the tool, is that you'll be looking at the transaction history. You'll see maybe a successful call and then maybe a failure call beside it. You'll want to open up the two of them. So now you can do that. You can open them up side by side and you can compare and contrast one versus the other, which just means you can kind of really, really move quickly to understanding how to interact with that API much, much better.
100%, Frank.
Okay, well, thanks everyone. As always, tune back next time. There's lots of new exciting features, very, very nearly ready to launch. So we're looking forward to bringing those to you in the next episode. So happy exploring, everyone.
Happy exploring.